Today we're going to cover the difference between PSM, profitable scaling margin, an actually valuable business measurement, and things that are total trash based around ego and credit that we call MER and ROAS. Now at a very high level, I'm going to just establish this. MER and ROAS basically stands to say, I spent X amount of money today and I got Y revenue. Based on that, I have an efficiency or a profit margin of some number. And that's great. But what if those customers want to buy from you more than once? What if you're spending money on multiple platforms? What if you have influencers and email and subscription involved into your business? What if somebody takes a day to buy? What if you've got an incredibly elaborate system set up and basically the ad that got the sale just happens to be the thing lucky enough to show an impression to the right person when they're ready to buy today? What if you have all of these unknowns and you're still trying to manage a business and growing it? Well, I can tell you, MER and ROAS aren't going to help you at all. MER and ROAS are going to be incredibly difficult and distracting problems built around the idea that somebody deserves credit for a sale. And that's where it comes from. MER and ROAS comes from the concept of somebody trying to prove their value. It's an argument that lacks context built to reinforce ego. When we talk about PSM instead, profitable scaling margin, what we're looking at is what is a customer actually worth to this business laid against what is our cost to acquire a sale and produce our product. PSM, profitable scaling margin, instead of looking at I spent X today and I made Y, so I deserve this much credit. PSM instead says, on average, our cost to sell this product blended is X. And on average, this product costs us Y. So what we're going to do is say this customer is ultimately worth this much, and we're going to divide the value of what that customer is worth to us by how much it costs to acquire that sale and the cost of the product that we sold. And what does amazingly for this that ROAS and MER couldn't ever get to, one, is it lets us even understand maybe someone's going to buy from us more than once, which is good. But MER and ROAS has no ability to account for that, and most importantly, doesn't allow you to have information to ultimately make meaningful, actionable decisions or insight, because it's just a number that doesn't mean anything. So when we get to PSM, this is real money. When you talk to an investment banker, or when you talk to somebody trying to invest in your business, or when you talk to really successful entrepreneurs, they don't ever say, well, I gave Facebook X amount of money and I got X back. They don't say, well, I gave Google this and I've got that. No, they know that all those numbers are bullshit. Now you see a lot of ad agencies and a lot of marketers completely ignore this type of the conversation because it directly impacts their self-worth and bottom line, because they're defining their value to a brand or a client or their boss based on how much money they spent and how much money they brought in. They're basically saying, I deserve this much credit. Now here's the problem. There's no way to say that anybody coming into your store or buying from you or signing up for your product or service or offer, there's no way to say that any two of those people ever found you in the same way. Say you're running a car dealership or a shoe store. When somebody comes in to make a purchase, yeah, that salesperson helped them. But there's a reason why the person knew that that type of product or service ever existed to begin with. Like, that salesperson in the car dealership didn't tell me that the concept of a motor vehicle existed. And they sure weren't the ones that first told me about the brand. Hell, I saw the brand on the sign on the street when I rolled in. I saw a whole bunch of these other things called cars in the parking lot. And what I really want to focus in here is that that salesperson ultimately doesn't deserve very much of anything close to credit for a sale that they were basically the very end of the chain to get somebody to make. So what we're really getting down to here is PSM, on the other hand, really focuses in on what is the margin per customer, not the accredited margin per sale. And I'm going to give you two examples of why MER and ROAS breaks down entirely as soon as you bring it out of somebody trying to appease their ego and get credit and bring it into the real world of managing a business. Example one, say I get a CPA of $20 and I make a sale worth $100. I've got an MER or a ROAS of 5. That sounds great. Right up until you realize that product or service costs $80 to make. So while I have a ROAS or an MER of 5, I have a profit margin of $0. I basically broke even. Now, because we're running a business off of MER or ROAS, I'm not accounting for the fact that that customer ever has any value moving forward. So I basically pat myself on the back for doing effectively nothing, but I can say I drove a ROAS of 5 and I deserve credit. I deserve some gold star or a ribbon, right? That's bullshit. Now let me give you another example. If I have a product or service that costs me $100 to sell, and say my AOV on that sale is only $40, well, you might say, wow, you got a ROAS of 0.4. You must be terrible. And based on the idea of credit, and based on the idea of ego that drives the conversation of MER and ROAS, you'd be dead right. But if I, as a business owner, understand the lifetime value of that customer, and I can say, well, I might have gotten an initial sale of $40, but that customer is worth $300 to me over the average period of their lifetime with my brand because of that product or service that I sold, I actually got a PSM of 3. I tripled my dollar. I basically took a baseball bat to an ATM machine and got 3x back on $100. So person number one loves themselves and deserves credit for a 5x ROAS, where they basically accomplished this much benefit to the business, because remember, you also have to pay the marketer to do the work. Person number two, on the other hand, delivered a $200 profit on that customer against their projected lifetime value. Now, one of these people is going to really help your business grow. The other one is going to take money until you can't afford to pay them anymore. And that's the real thing that we're getting down to here, is the big difference between MER and ROAS versus PSM is one of them allows you to grow your business. The other one allows people to feel good about the work that they're doing. Now, I don't give a damn if I get credit. I don't give a damn if I, get a positive ROAS today because of some money that I spent or some MER. I don't care. I would much rather break even on that number or lose money, because I want to build a business predicated on the idea that ultimately my customers are interested enough in my product to spend money with me again. Now, maybe I have to spend additional funds to get that second sale. That's fine. But as long as the amount of money that I have to spend on a customer to get sales and the cost of the products that I'm selling them is less than the overall lifetime value, I could have a less than 1 ROAS every single day and still go to the bank and collect a paycheck in profit. And that's the real big difference here. The other side of this too is that when you have MER and ROAS, you effectively have no ability to make a decision on what actually moves the business forward. Which is why so many marketers and advertisers and ad agencies are promoting 4, 5, 6 different products. And you hear stupid complaints of like, well, Facebook's CBO spends on the wrong ad set. No, it didn't. You set up a bad architecture to allow a system to have incomplete data and ultimately compete with itself. If it spends so much money on the wrong ad set, that's not Facebook's fault. It's doing what you told it to do. And let me dive deeper into what that really means. If you have, say, 3 products and the PSM of those products, A is 3, B is 2, and well, C is a 1, but product C you can push at like a ROAS of 2, even though you all effectively just keep breaking even. And product number 1, where you have a PSM of 3, but you're losing 50 cents on the dollar to acquire that customer, remember, product number 1 is going to generate you a shit ton of revenue. Product number 3 is a waste of your time. And every penny that you spend on product 2 and 3 is money that could have been spent on product number 1, where you triple your money. And that's what we really have to get down to here, is the actionability of your information. And once you understand, well, product number 1 triples my money, now you're going to be able to say, well, I can get rid of all of these things. And because Facebook's a machine learning algorithm, I can invest all of my resources in trying to make product 1 better and better and better. I can get this customer either at a lower CPA, or I can spend more and more money to acquire more and more people at that CPA, because I know that that CPA plus COGS divided from my LTV is my profit margin. The easiest way of increasing my profit margin is to reduce my CPA. But if I want to make more money, sometimes I'm willing to have a higher CPA at a much greater volume. Maybe my CPA goes up by 25%, but I get twice as many customers. I'm going to make way more fucking money. But again, we can't even have this conversation if you still think MER and ROAS is valuable, because you would abandon product number 1 to begin with to chase the thing that makes you feel good so that you can get credit even though you bring no fucking money to the table. So the real difference between ROAS and MER versus PSM is one of them appeases a marketer's ego based on a lie, and the other one generates money. It's your choice which one of these rabbit holes you want to go down. I highly recommend you prioritize stacking fucking paper. That's my recommendation. However, you can continue to chase the lie of ROAS and MER and ultimately struggle more and more and wonder why none of this stuff makes sense. If you really want to know how to put your business forward, go talk to an investment banker about what they would do with your business. And try to get a word in edgewise as they're laughing at you when you start talking about the credit you deserve because of ROAS or MER. Oh, my ROAS is a 10. They're going to laugh at you. Because if that number was true, you're not spending nearly enough money. And because that number's a lie, but you don't know how to actually run a business, you're not going to get their money. And ultimately, you're running a business to be your own boss, to collect a paycheck. And I don't get into business to create my own job so I can create my own paycheck. I'm building businesses so that I can sell them, because that's where the real money is. With all that being said, best of luck out there. I'll see you on the internet. Bye.